I didn't see my kids walk with both my kids, my daughter and my son, when they started walking. I wasn't there, but I was successful, right? I was successful. No, I wasn't. Right? So according to my definition of success at that time, oh my God, such a career. I had my office in New York City, and I could see the Statue of Liberty on one side on the window, and on the other side of the window, I could see Brooklyn. Oh my God, I'm successful. In order to do my job, if I need to shrink, then that's not the job for me. You know, when sometimes we fail and we say, oh, that was so bad, but actually that no was the door for a bigger and more meaningful yes. Everything comes at the right time for everybody. We all have our own timing, and then there's no one truth that is absolute for everything. You know, it's up to each one of us to define what our path is going to be.
Andie, thank you very much for joining me on Success Factors podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I was fascinated by the multicultural background that you have. So let's start with that. You have an Italian father who grew up in Vietnam, and your mom is Vietnamese, and well, it seemed like a whole mix of different cultures that were there. So yeah, let's start with that.
Oh yeah, it is pretty exotic, right? It sounds pretty. So my father was born in Vietnam from a Vietnamese mother.
Right.
My grandfather from my father's side was Italian. At that time, Vietnam was a French protectorate. So my father was born in Vietnam, speaking French, going to school in French. My father had coal mines in Vietnam. My grandfather had coal mines in Vietnam.
Right.
So he was going from Italy to Vietnam, like back and forth. And that's how that happened. He lived there for 11, 12 years. And then he went to Paris and then to Italy without speaking a word of Italian. So he was a teenager in Italy, in Sicily, without speaking a word of Italian. He grew up, he went to college, and he became an anthropologist.
Right.
And as an anthropologist, he went to Argentina, which is where I was born.
Right.
And to do some excavations and some projects. He met my mom, fell in love, and I come as a result of that. But my mom, on her side, she was from Argentina, of Spanish and Indigenous South American heritage.
Right.
Like a whole Asian European thing mixed with very Latin American thing.
Yeah.
And so interesting mix. Some would say that I can have like a little bit of the eyes, like the Vietnamese, some other would be, no, you're totally Latina. Here in the United States, many people just really have a big question mark.
Yeah.
Because they would say, you also don't have the Latin American accent. I'm like, I don't know what that exactly is, because Latin America is so diverse also.
Yes.
That there's not like one accent, but people would say, you don't even look like Latin American. Some people would say, are you from India?
Right.
Not quite, but it's interesting that I have fun on confusing people. It's it adds up to a funny story.
That's quite, I mean, that's a real mixture, right? And in speaking that your father went back to Italy without speaking a word of Italian, it's like, that's quite like, okay, how did that work?
Because when in my life, I moved 2 times from one country to another. And when I moved to Brazil, the first time I started going to Brazil because of work, I didn't speak a word of Portuguese. So it was the same word. It was the same way. I was like, story repeats itself. I moved to Brazil. I didn't move like completely to Brazil. I was working for Price Waterhouse, and that was a project going on in Brazil. So I started going there. So I knew some Portuguese, and I would used to call it the beach Portuguese, because I would go to the beaches in Brazil.
Right.
So I knew the language of like how to order, a caipirinha or a beverage on the beach or some fruits or something. But I didn't know actually how to work, in Portuguese. One thing is speaking the language, the other thing is business language. So history repeats itself. Going to another country, I don't speak the language. And I moved to the US, but I was already more prepared for that one. That was not so shocking.
Yeah, I was worried there for a moment that you're going to say I learned beach Portuguese, and the beach Portuguese might have been a whole load of slang and swear words and nothing else.
Absolutely. And I knew the Portuguese, to talk to the boys, not to actually be.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that very multicultural upbringing, really, right? Or at least historically. You're now living in the US, and you are providing coaching services.
I am. I am. And that's a new thing. I've been working for corporate, I would say corporate America since I moved to the US because I moved already with IBM.
Right.
So I started working on another company, Infosys. Then I came back to IBM. So I have over 20 years of experience with IBM. So it's been always kind of my whole life, my full professional life there. Then 5 years with Infosys, a little bit with Genpact, but mostly IBM. So it's always been kind of the same company in different countries, which changes a lot. I mean, one would think that IBM is the same thing everywhere. It's not. Culture, again, we go back to the culture, right? Culture impacts significantly the way business is done, the way people interact. Sometimes we think it's obvious, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, in my corporate job, I deal with people across Europe. I deal with people in the US, and just within Europe in itself, there are so many cultural nuances to the way in which
Absolutely.
business is done and businesses operate. So it's very good to be mindful of that and be aware of that, because it's very easy to make an assumption that, oh, all Europeans are the same, all
Oh my
Americans are
God.
the same,
Yeah.
even, but they're not. East Coast, West Coast, Central America, North and South, there's differences, right? There's nuances in the way in which everyone operates.
Absolutely. And in the coaching business is specifically so important because, I can't make any assumption whatsoever. Everything needs to be questioned. That's why the best quality of a coach is curiosity.
Yeah.
Right? Just always remain curious and just keep asking questions. Do not assume anything, even a word, right? A simple word, like as I said, my baggage of, my history. Okay, what do you mean by that? Does it mean some childhood trauma? Does it mean something that you're used to do? Does it mean something that bothers you? What do you mean exactly by that? So even questions and words that that's what this person means. No, I know nothing. That's what's important, to do some grounding before and after each session,
Mm-hmm.
right? To just make sure that we assume nothing. We question everything. Everything is up there to discuss and to better understand so we can better serve.
Yeah. Your word, using the word assume. Yeah. We always remember something that a good teacher told us. And there was a teacher at school who always said, it kind of really stuck in my mind because it sounded really crazy at the time. He said, if we assume you make an ass of you and me. So he took the ASS, the U and the ME, and that's kind of stuck in my mind all these years, on, and it's so true, right? You should not assume, because those assumptions can be completely wrong and completely misguided. So what prompted the move from corporate life into doing your own thing?
So there was a little bit of everything. There was some burnout. There was some brutal changes in the industry that I was working. I was working in business process outsourcing, and artificial intelligence, of course, came to change everything. The things are done. So there was a very brutal change in the business. There was some burnout. There was some need of doing something different. There was this, and this is gonna come out with the word that it's my word now. I just took ownership of the word authenticity. It was just that moment when you feel that you don't fit anymore on what you're doing and you're shrinking to fit. And that's what I decided not to do anymore. So in order to do my job, if I need to shrink, then that's not the job for me. And that really hit me. And it probably is as I said, it's a combination of several factors: age, life, daughter in college, and again, that's triggering a lot of the things that I'm doing right now, like writing a book and having my own company. And I'm still working with other companies, right? I'm still consulting with other companies. I'm doing some freelancing jobs, but the main thing is what I do. I own what I do. I do it in my own terms, and I do it with my whole self. And that is not something that you can really say when you're working for a corporation, right? It's really hard to say, I bring my whole self to work.
Yeah.
We all want to say that. We all want to pretend that we do it, but it's really, really hard because, especially when you're like at a vice president, senior partner, vice president position, that there is already like a certain culture that you need to serve. And when that culture doesn't align to your beliefs, to your core beliefs, then you just need to start shrinking or changing, and I was never that person that actually fit completely.
Right.
I was always like, actually, I have a different opinion here. And I usually make this joke, and I have one of my favorite bosses of all time is a Sweden lady. I love her with all my heart. We're still friends. And she told me once when I told her, listen, just wanting to walk you through what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this. And I mentioned the word authenticity. She actually wrote it in my LinkedIn page, and I put it in my website. She said, when Andie told me that she would do something related to authenticity, I immediately thought, of course. She said, of course she would do something like that. She said, I know something like that. I knew that I could always count on her to ask the hard questions.
Right.
So she would be doing like a town hall, and she'll be saying, this is what we're going to be doing, and this is the strategy. And I'm like, actually, I have a question. It's like, I knew that I could always count on you. I didn't even have to say it because you would ask it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's something that is like a trademark.
That's cool. That's cool, actually, to have a manager or a boss who kind of like recognize that in you, and B, of course, for you to actually have the courage to stand up and say, actually, I've got a question, because as you say, you had to start to fit into a certain mold, right? And so fitting into that mold sometimes, as you say, shrinks you, and you're no longer able to be your true authentic self. What other things did you pick up on that you recognize that this is no longer for me, that I'm shrinking myself, that I'm getting to maybe burnout and not falling over the edge of that cliff where, burnout suddenly happens? Or did you fall over the edge of the cliff?
You mean work-wise or in general?
Work-wise and general as well, actually.
Because, I think, as I said, I think it's a phase. And women specifically, we feel it, especially in our bodies. Like, that's something that you men are lucky because you don't have to go through these things.
Yes.
But menopause, it's a thing, right? And it's still a myth. Like, it's still like you say menopause, and some people would be like, "Oh, she said the word." I'm like,
yeah. How dare she say the word? It's like, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I would say, guys, I would say this at work, and I would be like, and they would tag me, "You're so politically incorrect." I'm like, I'm talking about menopause. I'm not saying any.
Exactly.
Why?
It's a biological thing, right?
It's right? And like more than half of the population in the world goes through this. And how is this still a myth, right? And it is, unfortunately, and there's not enough knowledge on the topic. And if you ask OBGYNs, they would say, I asked my OBGYN, how much time did you spend in med school studying about menopause? And he told me less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
So again, I don't intend to do like a whole thing on menopause. But the point is, we start going through these changes, and our body changes, our mood changes. And I became much less tolerant than I usually was.
Right.
And it was a change in my whole way of seeing things. So for example, I would be like, we need to prepare for this book, because a business review call and business unit review, and we need to prepare the material for that. And I would be like, that material doesn't suit my needs of sharing the information on my business. I mean, you give me this template that I need to fill, and that would be a typical IBM corporate thing, right? Now you need to fill this template, and this is what we're going to show. This template doesn't serve me. I mean, I need to perform other things. I am having other situations with people. I have people that are not motivated enough, and I need something about, and that would be the first. Those were the first signals, right? Like, you need to fill in this template. Well, I don't fit in that template. That template doesn't shape. Now, however, I created this other thing.
Yes.
And then we see the faces, right, through Zoom and the faces will be like, like the doves, so the doves don't actually go like, and I'm like, and immediately the reaction is like, no, that would be the first word. No, no, we cannot use that. I'm like, why? You didn't even let me walk you through it. What? I mean, I can tell you, see, you guys in this graph, and I will present graphs and pies. And no, you need to do this spreadsheet.
Yeah. It's the
So those
template.
are the-
You got to do the template, and we're going to spend hours
right?
doing the template.
How
And
dare you getting out of the template? And
yeah,
that template, if you ask about it, that template was like for the last 10 years. It was
yeah,
that. Now we have artificial intelligence now, right? But we still need to use it. Like it's like using like creating PowerPoint from scratch. I'm like, who
yeah.
does that, right? But yeah, it was something like that. You need to create that, and you need to start from scratch, creating a PowerPoint and starting with a blank page and say, insert text box. Do I'm not gonna do that, okay? And that was one thing. And then again, on top of that, you can add like these things like being surrounded by people that do not dare asking the questions that are burning inside of you, right? Those questions that start growing, and I need to ask. I want my team to know, what does it look like the next 6 months? What do they look like? What's
Yeah.
gonna happen? Because you're telling me they're gonna be changed. Okay, what? What? Give me an example. What? Well, we'll see later. No, I don't want to see it later. I need to know it now because I need to inform my team. So, well, so those kinds of things are like, you know what? No, that's not the way I want to lead. This is
Hmm.
not the way I want to live. This is not the way I do things. So it's that feeling that starts burning, and sometimes it's like it burns a lot, and sometimes it's burning a little bit, but at the end of the day, it starts adding up, and you start feeling it, right? And it's, as I said, it was in my life, it was in my relationships. We hit this age, and some relationships just don't work anymore, and you start embracing other things, other relationships, and some people just naturally fall off your ecosystem because there's just no more points in common, and it's fine, right? If
Mm.
you think about it, it's okay. I truly believe that it's okay. And if we don't have more things in common, thank you. And I wish you the best. But, the more drama we make about it, it's unnecessary. I think we need to normalize evolving and changing, as opposed to say, I naturalize the status quo. At some point in life, let's normalize that things are going to change. And I know it's uncomfortable. I know we tend to feel, but sometimes, sometimes people tend to, I'm not trying to get too philosophical here, but sometimes people tend to stay in the toxic known
Yeah.
as opposed to leave towards an unknown, potentially
Mm.
much better, but unknown situation, right? Now, I'd rather staying here. I know it is toxic. I know I'm not happy, but I'd rather staying here.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's,
don't.
it's a bit like it's the comfort zone type of situation, right? Of better the devil, better the kind of surroundings, the things that are around you. But to your point about people, we change, right? People change. You go, as women, as you say, you go through a physical change, right? Biological change, and what served you in the past doesn't necessarily serve you now or serve you in the future. So you have to accept that there will be friendships, relationships, things of that nature that will maybe no longer be there. But as you say, thank you for the time we had together, or thank you for that friendship at that point in time, and you move on. So what's so now you're coaching. What sort of clients do you work with? Who's your sort of typical base?
So I started, as typically, I just started, I got started this year. So I started with I would say, my warm network, like the people that know me from the past. Some people approached me via LinkedIn because they saw what I was doing, and some people approached me from companies, like people that I worked with in the past, and they said, "I didn't know you were coaching. Are you coaching?" I mean, yeah. So please, I want to work with you because I admire how you do this. But so I'm trying to be. I am always make the emphasis, like, I want to be very clear here. Many people come to me and say, "You dealt with this situation. I remember you dealing with this situation in a great way. I want to learn from that." And I'm okay. This is coaching. This is not mentoring. So let's understand that there's a huge difference. And so I'm not going to tell you what to do, right?
Mm.
In coaching, I'm going to help you realize your best way to do it, but I'm not going to tell you the way you need to do it because your way might not be my way. So that's important, and I make that clarification. That's what that's what we have a contract, and we're very clear on that, and what is coaching and what is not, which is the most important thing. So that's one source of my clients, and then it's naturally it goes like word of mouth. I haven't done any big campaign, or I don't pay any marketers, or I don't pay to boost any LinkedIn or Instagram. I don't do any of that. I don't have time. I don't think I want to do it because I don't want to go massive.
Yeah.
I want to really be. I would say. I mean, of course, I want my business to grow, but I don't want to get like a ridiculous amount of clients that I cannot. First of all, that I cannot have the freedom that I want to have, and I want to be able to choose. With all due respect, I want to be able to choose who I work with.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to work with anybody just to make money. Right? That's exactly what I don't want to do. So I want to be very. And I'm my coaching. I graduated from the school of Jay Shetty. And Jay, I love Jay. That's why I joined his school. And he always talks about with purpose, on purpose.
Right.
And that to me is just, it's a key differentiator for everything that we do, right? The mindfulness, on purpose, and with purpose. That's why the way I want to coach, the way I want to lead, the way I want to live, right?
Yeah.
Like I usually say, not from the neck up. Usually when we go from the neck up, it's just like autopilot, right? Yeah. Flight or fight. And that's not the way I want to live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
you want to live with heart and with guts and instinct and all of those things.
Right. And for that, we need to be grounded. So it's actually more with feet on the ground, Yeah. And I don't want to go hippie here, but I'm not going to say I'm going hug trees, but kind of. I need my walks in
nature. I love hugging trees. What's wrong with hugging a tree?
I'm just saying, I don't want to be. You're such a hippie. I mean, yeah, okay. I do love my walks barefoot in the nature. I mean, I do love my 30 minutes in the morning in the sunshine. That I think that grounds me, and we all need to find the things that ground us. And again, like success, it's gonna be a different definition of what grounds you than what grounds me, and we all need to find our own recipe, right? And
absolutely. So on that point, you've been through quite a journey. Corporate world, in the corporate world, success is measured by the KPIs. Your sales number, whatever it was, your KPIs were that. It's almost black and white, right? And now you're doing this. How has your view of success changed, and what does success now mean to you?
It took a huge personal approach, right? Success to me for many decades was the success of IBM. If IBM is successful, I'm successful, right? Mm-hmm. When we didn't deliver the results, I'm not good enough. And, when we did deliver the results, but the whole organization didn't deliver the results, I'm not good enough. Or I didn't have enough because I couldn't, I couldn't grow so much to offset the results that the other division didn't achieve. So it was just so, it was just so alienating. And now it took a much personal approach. And when I talk about authenticity, that I say it what's the name of my company? Actually, Authenticity Ignited. But that's exactly how it changed for me, is living according to my values. And that's to me the definition of authenticity, right? So again, it's like the definition of authenticity to you is going to be different than mine, because my values can differ from yours. So living in authenticity, that's what means to me being successful. If I can just live and lead according to my values and just act accordingly, that gives me a sense of achievement that I didn't have before. And that's that personal feeling of that's so much more meaningful. Like, yes, I reached I did it. I reached my signings target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But then I come home and I didn't spend time with my kids, and I didn't see my kids walk with both my kids, my daughter and my son. When they started walking, I wasn't there.
Right. Yeah.
When I came home, they were walking. But I was successful, right? I was successful. No, I wasn't. right? So according to my definition of success at that time, oh my God, such a career, right? You were 30, you were what? I was 40, and I had my office in New York City, and I could see the Statue of Liberty on one side on the window, and on the other side of the window, I could see Brooklyn. Oh my God, I'm successful.
Yeah.
Well, and then I came home, and then my son was walking, and I didn't see him.
Did that
So,
bring tears to your eyes when you saw him and you thought, oh, I missed that moment where he took his first steps?
right?
Yeah.
And so that's, and again, I'm not saying I've always been a very present mother. It's not that I didn't miss any birthday. On the contrary, I was there organizing the birthdays. I remember people looking at me, especially Americans, I must say, saying like, "What do you mean you had to leave because you have a Halloween party in your house? What do you mean?" I mean exactly that. I'm hosting a Halloween party and I need to leave. It's with the whole kids from my fourth grade in school.
Yeah.
And what do you mean? I mean, bye, I'm leaving. That's well, I was a very present mother. It's not that I wasn't there, but of
Sure.
course I had to travel, to India. I had to travel to for longer periods of time, and it was hard. I remember taking pieces of clothes of my kids and just bringing them with me, and at night I
Oh,
would
well,
smell the piece. It was I was suffering, but then in my terms, were what meant success at that time, I was successful.
yeah.
But
And
then
I suppose that set you up to be able to do what you do today as well, right? So it's not necessarily that it was all like kind of a negative success. It was a success that's helped you to as a stepping stone towards what you're doing today.
absolutely. There are such a few things that I say, oh, I regret doing that. I don't, yeah, probably I could have done it better. Of course, I could have done so many things better. But everything that I did, brought me to where I am right now. So the thing is not dwelling in the past. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just, okay, I learned it and thank you. It's like those relationships that we say, okay, but thank you. I learned. Thank you. I'm bringing the best. I'm not going to dwell on that. Doesn't make any sense.
So what are the values that you now hold really well? You probably held these dear all the time, but just you're now able to uh, kind of really grab them and do something with them. What are those? I don't know, top three values you would say for yourself?
I would say mostly do no harm. I mean, that's something that I hold very, very, very dear. And that's what it's so important in a coaching profession. Do no harm above all, above all. That's if I feel it's going to be harmful or it's going to hurt someone somehow, that's a huge no,
Yeah.
right? And I'm talking about people, I'm talking about business, right? In general, like, do not create any negative, impact. I'm talking about sustainability. I'm talking about the world. I suddenly, and that's a lot of influence from my daughter. My daughter studies environmental sciences. And so since she was a little girl, and she listens to this, she's going to laugh. Since she was a little girl, she would be like, Mom, do you still need the water? Why don't you close it? Close
Yeah.
it. Close, close the tab, but you don't need the water anymore. And I'll be like, huh? She was 7 probably.
Right.
Yeah. So that was her since she was a little kid. So she now is gonna be an environmental studies scientist, and so that really grew on me.
Hmm.
So nothing. I became vegetarian, and being from Argentina and being
Right.
vegetarian, not drinking wine. He's like, all my friends are like,
It doesn't compute. It doesn't compute in the mind, right?
we're keeping your passport. You don't deserve to hold our passport anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna eat meat regardless. But again, he says those things that it has to compute to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, great. Right? We don't have to be the same, and that's fine. That's great. Right? But yeah, so that would be one. Then acting according to what I really truly believe. If I don't believe that's the way, I don't want to do it. Right? I don't want to do it, and or choosing the people I work with. That's that's big. That's big. Um, whether if it is a colleague, whether if it is a boss, whether if it is a client, right? Being able to choose the people I work with. I'm telling you, that's big in coaching because we want to serve everybody. We are at service, but if I see some people and my morals don't align or my ethic principle, I'm so sorry. I need to redirect it to another professional. I can't work. And we don't have to close the whole thing, but it's just rather not working with that person. And it's with the utmost respect. But, my boundaries and my happiness and my welfare come first.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, okay. So success is being able to work towards those values that you've just outlined there. I have a tradition that I ask a previous guest to ask a question for my next guest. They don't know who the guest is. You don't know what the question is. So here it's going to come to you. My previous guest asked, and I'll have to focus on my very bad handwriting here. What's one belief about success that you had to let go of to grow?
That's a good one.
Mm.
I would say pleasing others,
Okay.
like pleasing my mom, pleasing my dad, pleasing my boss, pleasing my husband, pleasing my kids many times. Oh, I did great because I pleased them, right? They are happy because I did something good according to their eyes, according to their opinions. And when we grow out of that, it's just, and I was never a people pleaser. But like for certain people, I wanted to have their approval. I wanted to have, if I do this, it means that I'm doing well,
Yeah.
right? If my boss likes me, it's because I'm doing a good job. So that's good. You know what? I'm glad that some of my bosses didn't like me because I didn't like them either. But I know, I learn things that I'm like, no, I don't. That's where it comes from. I don't want to work with some people. Then I want to have the capacity to say thank you, but no thank you. That's what matters to me now.
Yeah.
So I think when I was able to let go of that, when I detached from that need of trying to be the good girl and trying to do the good things, so people like me, that was success for me. That was like that people like me, that people approve of me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that had to do a lot with my dad. My dad, and I don't mean to get into a psychotherapy session here, but my dad was very demanding, like intellectually. He
Right.
was extremely sharp, very smart. And so he was very demanding. And so to me, being loved was, if I was a good girl, if I got good grades, then I would be deserving of his love. And I think I grew up with that. Like I need to get good grades. I need to succeed. I need to, and then that triggered a lot of things that, again, made me very successful in those terms in my career, because I was an overachiever and I was going, okay, well, this is the extra mile. But then at some point it costed me dearly. Mm. So when I was able to let go of that, I was able to say, now I define what is success to me, and I'm going to make myself happy. And that is going to mean that I'm successful. So I
Yeah,
think that's one of
that's
the things
really
that
good. It reminds me of a conversation I had, and it may have actually been with you when we were preparing for this. It's like, whose life are you living? Are you living your own? Or are you living someone else's? And that's really what it is, right? You've let go of living someone else's definition of what life you should be living, and you're living the life on your terms.
absolutely.
Mm.
But the thing is, how do you find those terms? There needs to be a lot of internal work to
Mm-hmm.
get to know yourself. And
Yeah.
when we get to know ourselves, we get to know the good parts and the bad parts.
Mm.
So making friends with that, okay, this is me. It's not everything is pretty. Some parts are not really pretty, or really not pretty, or really ugly. But just befriending the wholeness of who we are and just moving forward, that was a great step for me in saying, okay, you know what? As I said, it comes with age. It comes with a point where it's like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done living
Yeah.
this life. It's no longer for me. And I'm not saying I will never go back to do one thing, or I will never go back. It all depends on the context and the people involved and the objective and the goal, and how we get there. But yeah, there are certain things that became non-negotiable.
Yes.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. So Andy, do you have a question for my next guest?
I do actually did my homework. So my
Okay.
question for your next guest is, what was one failure in your career or life that actually propelled you to a bigger success?
Okay. So what was one failure in your career or life that propelled you to a bigger success?
When sometimes we fail and we say, oh, that was so bad, but actually that no was
Mm-hmm.
the door for a bigger and more meaningful yes.
Yeah. Do you have an example from your own life and your own career?
So, I think many times that I didn't achieve my goals, or many times I remember clearly when I didn't get one promotion. And to me, that was just, oh my God, what do you mean you didn't promote me? I mean, I check all the boxes. Yeah, but for X reason, no, you didn't get a promotion. It was warranted. I mean, I talked to everybody. I did all the political movements, and I didn't get it.
Mm.
And the fact that I didn't get it actually protected me from other things that happened because I was not in that batch of people.
Right.
So, and that was actually what allowed me to be part of other initiatives that take me to that moved into this direction that I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
So probably that promotion would have mean that I would be in another country now. That I be in and I don't know what I would have done if I needed to move countries again with my kids still in school.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so that to me was a failure, but actually, no, actually it brought me to closer to who I am right now, and
Mm.
very happy with who I am right now.
This is a really great question because it took me back to something that I always thought was a failure at the time, which was I ran a business in partnership with a couple of other people, and we had to close it after 9 months because we ran out of cash. We ran out of cash because they didn't have the cash they said they were going to put into the business, just didn't put it in. And at the time, I felt this like complete failure, right? I just felt really bad and negative about it. But actually, I learned so much from that moment, from all of that. I learned that actually I had a whole load of skills around things like forecasting and budgeting and planning and all of the business case development and all of those things that we had done, that I had done. But I just saw that we closed the business, and that for me was the failure. And so reframing often is the important thing, right? Stopping and saying, what really was that the failure? Wasn't it? What did you take from that? What did you learn? How are you going to use it moving forward? So yeah, I really like that question. I'm looking forward to my next guest and when they answer that.
And I look forward to hearing to the answer.
Yes, exactly. So we're coming to the top of our time now. If people want to get in touch with you, Andy, what's the best way for them to do so, if they want to find out more? And also, before we kind of close out, what's the book you're writing?
Oh, okay. So I'm writing. I'm not really quite sure on the title but it is definitely about the changes that are unfolding, and I would say dismissifying the fact that when we're aging, everything is negative. Like we're aging, and there's this thing about wrinkles are bad, and
Right.
the number age is just a number, and everything about it that is just trying to commercialize something. In my experience, what I'm learning and what I'm becoming and the way I'm feeling that I'm a much better version than what I was before.
Yeah.
So my book is about that unfolding.
Okay.
It's not an unraveling. It's an
Yes.
unfolding. And that's what it is. And it's about one of the things that I say is I'm thriving in my prime. I do believe that this is my prime today. Mm. So that was the book is about, and especially for women. I mean, I want to make it for everybody, but one of the things that I'm doing and what this book is gonna be about is gonna be kind of an interactive book. So I'm gonna write a chapter or a paragraph or a part of the book, and then I'm gonna give some space for someone to share their vision or journal about what the reader just read, and I'm gonna give some prompts for meditation. So
Right.
each chapter, each part of the book is gonna include some blank pages for the reader to journal their own experiences and just jot their thoughts. And there are gonna be some prompts for meditation and grounding. So it's gonna be kind of like a interactive thing, and I'm just thinking about it. But there's a lot of content and there's a lot of personal stuff there, so it's kind of like an adventure, just going through it. But it's healing as well, and it is a lot of it's self discovery. It's writing a book. I never thought I would. I always had the idea, like the fantasy, but I never thought I actually would. Like, what am I
Yes.
going to say? I mean, I have nothing to say. Now I feel like I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So I am on it. So that's the
Ah,
book.
that's cool. That's a really cool idea. So yeah, if people want to get in touch with you, Andie, or find out
Well,
when your
yeah,
book is coming out, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
it's very simple. It's andiehenrich.com. That's the site. It was very easy to get. Apparently, I'm very original in my name. So,
Yes.
so, that, so it wasn't taken. So I just took it, andiehenrich.com. And that's who I am. That's me. And you're gonna find a lot of thoughts about authenticity and how to work on finding your own truth and how to live according to it.
Yeah, finding your own truth that's really, really important. And maybe, as you say, it comes with age. Maybe there's that piece where your kids have now grown up and you've got that moment to self-reflect. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it'd be better if we did it earlier in our lives and didn't have that point of, getting to this stage. And if we'd learned it earlier, then maybe the whole trajectory of our lives would be different. But who knows? So, yeah.
I could have gone to Tibet for 7 years, like the movie, right? 7 years
Yeah.
in Tibet when I was 40, but still, the changes in my body that started to happen when I was 48. Now I'm 52. I had to go through that to realize I love my body regardless. And my
Yeah.
body, I want to take care of it. I want to nourish it with good things. I want to nourish my mind with good things.
Mhm.
Still, if I went to Tibet for 7 years, maybe I'll learn a lot about how to be a good monk. But I
Yeah.
could have known about what is happening to me right now. So, everything comes at the right time for everybody. We all have
Exactly.
our own timing. And then there's no one truth that is absolute for everything, except from eventually a religion. But,
Mm.
it's up to each one of us to define what our path is going to be. So
Perfect. Well, on that note, Andie, thank you very much for joining me on Success
thank you
Matters. I've
for
really
having
enjoyed
me.
our conversation. We've taken it in all sorts of directions. And so thanks once again for taking part.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
To find your success, contact me at info@successmatterscoaching.com. That's info@successmatterscoaching.com.